Laszlo Polgar, a Hungarian educational psychologist, was one of the earliest advocates that great performers are made, not born. He had argued that dedicated practice in any chosen field could transform any healthy child into a genius. Children have extraordinary potential, and it's up to society to unlock it, he says. The problem is that people for some reason do not believe it. They seem to think that excellence is only open to others, not themselves. Back in 1960s, when Polgar was contemplating his experiment, his idea about talent was considered so absurd that local government official told him to see a psychiatrist to get rid of his delusions. But Laszlo could not be stopped that easily. He realized that the only way to prove his theory was to test it on his own future children. So he started exchanging letters with a number of young ladies in search of a wife. He found a young Ukrainian woman named Clara. Like many at the time, she thought he was crazy, but they agreed to meet. Amazingly enough, she found his arguments irresistible and ended up taking part in his bold experiment. In 1969, Clara gave birth to their first daughter, Susan. Laszlo spent hours trying to decide on the specific area in which Susan would be groomed for excellence. He needed Susan's achievements to be so dramatic that nobody could question their authenticity. This was the only way to convince people that their ideas about innate talent were all wrong. And then it struck him. Chess. Polgar said it was chosen because it was objective. If his child had been trained as an artist or novelist, people could have argued about whether she was really world-class or not. But chess has an objective rating based on performance, so there is no possibility of an argument. Although Laszlo was only a hobby player, he read as much as he could on method of teaching chess. He schooled Susan at home, devoting many hours a day to chess even before her 4th birthday. He did it playfully, making great drama of the game, and over time Susan became hooked. By her 5th birthday, she had accumulated hundreds of hours of dedicated practice. A few months later, Laszlo entered Susan in a local competition. Almost all the girls qualified were twice her age or older, but she won game after game, her final score being 10-0. The fact that such a young girl won the championship was already a sensation, but winning all the games added to people's amazement. They thought she was born with natural talent for chess. Now, this is where the story only begins. In 1974, Clara gave birth to a second daughter, Sofia. Then in 1976 to a third daughter, Judith. Both Sofia and Judith watched their older sister Susan being trained by their father and wanted to get involved, but Laszlo did not want them to start too early. Only when they turned 5 did he start their training. The girls were not forced to play, so it didn't feel like a chore for them. They were actually fascinated by chess and wanted to play. By the time they had reached adolescence, all 3 sisters had accumulated well over 10,000 hours of specialized practice. Let's take a look at how they performed. At the age of 12, Susan became a world champion for girls under 16. Less than 2 years later, she became the top-rated female player in the world. In 1991, she became the first woman player in history to reach the status of Grandmaster, the highest title you can reach in chess. By the end of her career, she had won the World Championship for women on 4 occasions and 5 chess Olympiads, and was the first person in history to win the chess Triple Crown. Sofia won the girls under 14 championship, and like her sister, she would win many gold medals from chess Olympiads and other prestigious championships as well. But her most extraordinary achievement is now known as the Sack of Rome. She stunned the chess world by winning 8 straight games against many of the best grandmasters. She was just 14 at the time. Her performance at the tournament was rated as the 5th greatest in chess history. After many record-breaking victories in her early teens, Judith became the youngest grandmaster ever, male or female in history, at the age of 15. She has been the #1 female chess player in the world for well over a decade. Over the course of her career, she had victories over almost every top player in the world and is universally considered to be the greatest female player of all time. The story of the Polgar Sisters provides evidence for Laszlo's theory of dedicated practice, but the public was sure that the sisters' success was a consequence of unique talent. Susan was even described by the local newspaper as a child prodigy. But this is an iceberg illusion. We only see the fruits of labor, but not the hard work behind the curtains. As Laszlo puts it, if they had seen the painfully slow progress, the inch-by-inch improvements, they would not have been so quick to call Susan a prodigy. Also, neither Laszlo nor Clara could have passed on any innate chess ability to their daughters. Laszlo was only a mediocre player, and Clara had demonstrated no chess ability at all. The sisters' success resulted only from their years of intensive work. At the same time, it must be noted that the sisters did not achieve equal levels of success. The middle sister Sophia did not reach the heights of her two sisters, and everyone seems to agree that she was the least committed, although she did become the 6th ranked woman in the world. Even Susan said that Sophia was lazy, and Sophia herself agreed that she would give up easier than Judith and never worked as hard as she did. Likewise, everyone seems to agree that Judith, who rose the highest, worked hardest and practiced the most. So here's a question for you. Does everyone have the capacity to become a talented individual? The sisters would say that, yes, any healthy person can become an expert in their own domain if they put in enough dedicated practice. Their own stories have convinced them that their father was right about talent.